All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everyone. I just put a few seconds late, just chatting to Mr. Mark Hanson there. That's on the other line, tucked up in his little mission control. So I just wanted to say a warm welcome to everybody and a happy New Year, belated happy New Year for everybody. My name's John Cox from the Property Investor Academy. You should be able to see me in one of those mug shots there on the right-hand side. So can everyone hear me? Hi Tanya, hi Russell, hi Roger, hi Richard, Neville, Murray, Minesh, Michael. Just want to hear, for those that have not been on a webinar before, you've got some controls in the top right hand corner. So you've got a little box you can pop questions into, and you can also put your hand in the air if you want to get our attention. So we've got the main man, Mark Hanson, tonight, that will obviously give you lots of his knowledge. So we'll just let a few more people get on. There's going to be quite a busy webinar tonight. We've got quite a lot to pack through. So glad that everyone can hear you. Hi Tanya, hi Andy. Hope everyone's braving the storms out there. Anyway, whilst Mark sharpens his pencils and clears his throat, I'll just go through a little bit about we allow more and more people to get on. I'll just go a little bit about the Property Investor Academy. Set up just over probably about 14, 15 months ago now. You've got just going through the order of the people on the screen from left to right. You've got Richard Simmons on the left-hand side. Just a quick plug for Richard's event, which I'll change screens for there, which is Richard's got his. He's the host of the property meet in Surrey, in Guildford, which is the Surrey Property Exchange. It's got a couple of cracking speakers a Monday night. So it's sort of this coming Monday. So you've got Ben Lepio, who's always worth listening to, and you've also got John Corey, so talking about the new legislation, or the legislation that kicked off from the 1st of January with regards to joint ventures. So little plug for another good property meet there. So that's Richard, and Richard's obviously one of the founder members of the Property Investor Academy. And then you've got in the middle, you've got David Humphreys there, who's looking forward to have a hospital-free year this year. He's just been in and out of hospital, poor old David, but spoke to him over Christmas and the New Year, and he's looking to build his strengths back up. So, David's got about 40 years plus of property knowledge, so lots of knowledge there. I've got myself on the right, and the only person that's not in the shot is Oais Naveed, who's I think out in actually Pakistan at the moment. He runs the BMV meet. So a couple of little things before we hand over to Mark with regards to other events that we're doing that might be of interest to yourself. I'll just click on that button there. We've got Kevin Wright at the Berkshire Property Meet. We hold a pre-Berkshire meet, so that's a week on Monday, a week after the Surrey Property event. Kevin's going to be sort of sharing with people how you can recycle your cash, how you can put silly offers in for properties and buy them quickly. So it's all using different strategies that he's been using in the recession, but they work equally well as we're emerging from it. So that's a free event. It's at from 6 till 7:30. So you can, after the event, you can pop down to the Berkshire, and that's in the Holiday Inn in Maidenhead. So that's on the website if you just want to come along and listen to Kevin and get some tips of how you can use some of the strategies Kevin's using. Then that's an event we're putting on the 20th, Monday the 20th, so pop that into your diary as well. And the only other thing I will mention is something that we're passionate about at the Property Investor Academy, and that's the Landlord Accreditation Day. So I think Boris Johnson's sort of on a mission to get about 100,000 landlords accredited by 2016. And so I think you're going to see quite a lot of this start hitting the papers of getting all the London boroughs are on board, and they're really, really going to push this forward. And I think you're going to start to see major benefits of being accredited start to come through. So won't go through that now, but have a look at the Landlord Accreditation Day that we offer. Sue Maxwell Smith said it's a cracking course. I think she said it went through about 20 years worth of property knowledge sort of very briefly on the day, and she found it really, really useful. She said she just wished it was available long time ago. So she, although she said she didn't actually learn anything new, it pretty much just reinforced so much knowledge that she'd taken sort of 20 years to amass. So it covers a lot. It's a full day, and it is a very, very detailed day, as you can see there. But that's just some things that we feel that you should potentially look towards at some point this year. This year, I think we're going to hear the word property flips. The market's coming back. Everyone knows estate agents are being busier and busier, and instead of just having landlords to sell their properties to, they're getting first-time buyers. They're getting other new landlords come into the market. So they're really going to have the pick of the crop. They just haven't got enough properties, so it's going to get harder and harder to get the deals from them. So I think as people do more and more flips, as the market becomes more bullish, securing properties is going to be more and more challenging. So you do need to get your phone ringing. You need to look at other ways of getting properties and deals. And I think there's no better person, in our experience, to show how easy it is and how cost effective it can be. And that's how to use flyers and things like that. So I'm going to pass over to Mark Anson, who's going to run through how you can use this strategy to get some deals really this year. So I'll pass you over to Mark, who will have control. Mark.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all well. Can everyone hear me?
Yep. Just need to go full screen.
Raise your hand on the... Trying to go full screen here. Come on, go full screen. There we go. There's full screen. So thank you very much, John, and thank you everyone for coming on. It's quite a full webinar today. So this is how to maximise your returns using flyers or leaflets. And there's a little book there, the High Flyers Guide to Leafleting. I'll send a copy over to John. It's an ebook, and I wrote it about a year ago. And it was after I'd been at a property meet in London, actually, and a guy came to the back of the room and said, "You're the guy that does leaflets, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, well, that's one of my strategies for getting the phone to ring, yeah." And he said, I tried them a couple of years ago and they don't work. And so I set about writing this a guide to leafleting ebook, and I'll send a copy over to John, and he'll send it out to everyone that's on the webinar today, so you can have that as my kind of gift to you for taking your time out, 'cause you could be anywhere tonight, and I'm really grateful that you've come on tonight to have a chat with us. So that's a freebie from me, a gift to you. So welcome to the webinar, and let's crack on. So those of you that don't know me, my name is Mark Anson, and I'm the chap that travels around the country. I work with quite a few different organisations teaching 3 specialities I've got, and that's getting leads, deal conversion or lead conversion into deals, and then trading deals on to put cash in the till, because I'm not actually about the property. I do add property to the portfolio every now and again when it's the right deal, but I'm interested in the cash it makes me during the deal, so I trade a lot of my deals out as well. So, and I like to show people how to do it for themselves, to put cash in their till. So that's me. I'm also the author of Dominate Your Ground, and that's available on Amazon. And that goes through it. Just actually, it kind of describes what I do. It's not really a book, a storybook. It's more an instruction manual almost. Really, it's written quite plainly, quite easy to read, and you can pick bits out of it. You don't have to read it all the way from front to back in one go. You can actually take bits out of it and set your own systems up. And it's just how I've done it over the last since 1994. So I've been in property since '94 now. So it's just how I do it. There's nothing particularly complicated. It's simple, but there's work to do, so it's not easy. So, and also I've been in the Sunday Times, the Guardian, Your Property Network, I quite often contribute to, and Property Investor News. I think it was in there a couple of months ago, and I think I'm in February's issue as well with an article in there. So that's a bit about me, and these are all of my individual deals. 159 deals in the last 24 months. These are all individual property brochures of deals that I trade out, and they all stay live on a website. So a potential client that buys my deals can have a look over some past deals and pull them to bits a little bit if he wants to, and ask a load of questions before they actually spend any money. So they're on a website that stays live, and 74,000 people have read my online brochures. And in 2012, there were 76,000 buy-to-let mortgages issued. So it's a pretty fair, got a pretty fair old chunk of the marketplace that have downloaded my brochures and that buy my deals. So the database is quite strong. It's a buying database, and to get onto my deal database that the prospect's got to jump through a few hoops, like they've got to show proof of funds and show they've got a mortgage application filled in, and they've got to send over ID and that type of thing. So it's a fairly strong deal buying database that I've got there. So and it's taken me a while to build that up, but it's it's around, and they get deals every week or so. Why does any of this matter to you? Well, cash flowing deals is it can make you between 2,000 and 10,000 per deal, and you don't need to do too many of those per month to replace an income. And I wouldn't expect anyone to quit their job and suddenly jump into property and start buying property, because no matter how much you start with, you'd run out of money. If you start with 100 grand, you can only buy 3 or 4 properties. If you start with 200 grand, you can only buy 8 properties, and that doesn't really replace your income. It does make you wealthy, but trading deals does replace income fairly quickly. So you don't have to do too many deals to start replacing your income, and you can build a business out of something you're already doing. Because if you're advertising out there for leads, you can build a whole different business out of trading deals, and you're already doing the work. So it sits hand in hand with building your portfolio for yourself anyway. And as John mentioned, as the market gets more bullish, and we've all been there. If you've been in property long enough, you've seen it, that the estate agents, when you go in to try and get deals, they have this arrogance about them during a bullish market. They have this kind of almost nonchalant about dealing with investors, because we want the property cheap and they want to sell it more expensively, and they come out with things like, oh yeah, we sold 4 yesterday, we've got another 5 in the pipeline for this week, and they almost don't want to deal with us sometimes in estate agents during a bullish market. So those guys that have been getting the deals from estate agents before, we've got to think of other ways to get our leads from vendors, and that's what this webinar is about. And also, you can learn the techniques of professional rapport building in the house with vendors by doing deals. And I've sat in quite a number of houses. I've sat in over 500 houses now, so you can learn professional rapport building, which gets you deals. And of course, trading deals, if you're just trading, because a lot of people say to me, I'd love to get into property, Mark, and I've seen all these presentations, and I've been to a lot of meetings and stuff, and I've seen everyone making it, but I haven't got any money, or I can't get a mortgage, or I've got bad credit. If you trade deals out, there's no credit checks, and you don't need to apply for any mortgages. You don't need any physical cash. There's a bit to advertise, obviously, but you don't need any chunks of cash to get started and get the deals going and get some money into your bank, because it's about cash in the till, not about building portfolios and spending out chunks of cash. The cash got to be flowing to you, not away from you, if that makes sense. And of course, in this industry, I built my whole brand in the industry based on trading deals, because that's what I do. So, and of course, it's great research and due diligence trading, because if I put a deal out in public, and we've just done one yesterday, which is a nice little deal. It's in Essex. It's about 20. I think it's a 22% discount off a real market value, not a guesswork or anything. It's you have to do the research and the due diligence on the deal, put it out in public, and if you've got it wrong, your database will come back to you and say, look, this doesn't work, Mark. This is so you get better as you do more deals. You get better, and you recognise what the good deals are and what people want. So it's great. So I thought I didn't just jump into this trading deals just recently. I thought I'd tell you a little bit of background about myself, just to kind of introduce myself. It was I'm an old soldier. I did 12 years in the British Army, left from school, joined the army from school, sorry, and in 1992 I jumped out of an aeroplane, had a parachute accident, and I busted up my legs. And of course, if you jump out of an airplane and you bust up your legs and you can't run, you can't be a soldier, because soldiers do a lot of running about. At the time, I was loving my career in the army. I was having a great time. Lived in tons of different countries in the world and saw a bit of action and got decorated and stuff. And I was having a great time. But in '92, when it happened, I was in hospital for 6 weeks in traction, and then I was in a wheelchair for about another 6 weeks, and then for about 12 weeks after that, I was on crutches, and then I spent about 18 months in physio, learning how to kind of walk and run and move properly. And and the doctors at that time said, you'll probably never, you'll walk okay probably, but you'll you'll never run again. So at that time was a pretty desperate time, because I had to get out of the army, and I think it's something else to do. And when you get out of the army, it's odd because you don't have any transferable skills, particularly at that point. And I, like most soldiers that get out of the army, they go through this year of it's a year of hell, really, because you don't understand CP Street and you haven't got the street smarts. And I ended up in a one-bed, a HMO actually, a room in a HMO, and I didn't have any money. I think I left with £2,600 to my name. I bought a car for £1,000. In fact, I'll show you the car. It's on here, I think. Some of you might, older guys in the audience might remember this thing, the MG Maestro. Well, that was the brochure photograph, but unfortunately mine looked like this. An old battered Maestro in a lovely blue colour. Every panel was a different colour, and I was living in the HMO, and I realised I was sat in my room, because I only had one room. I sat in my room. I took the first job that would accept me. It was a job with an tyre and exhaust place. I was fitting tyres and exhausts at 27 years old, earning £9,500 a year, and that's around £600 a month. Paying for my rent, which is £60 a week, and then all my bills on top of that. I was sat in my room doing my bills one month, and I just thought, I'm going to go under here, and because I was spending more just living. I'm not a party animal, don't go out drinking or anything, don't take drugs, and I was just driving to work and back doing my rather pathetic job on £9,500 a year, thinking I'm just going to go under because I'm spending more than I'm bringing in. And something had to change, and I couldn't get anywhere cheaper to live because it was only one room, and let's face it, you can see the car. I couldn't get a cheaper car. The car was a pile of old junk. The only thing that could change was the job. And I replied to every single advert job application in the newspaper. I must have sent off about 200, 250 applications. I went on interviews in my free time. I used to get 2 days off during the week. I used to work weekends and then get a couple of days off during the week. So I'd go on interviews in my free time, and I went on hundreds of interviews to get a job. And finally, I landed this job, which was actually a commission-only job. There wasn't even a basic salary, with a company called Sharp's Bedrooms, and they sold fitted bedroom furniture. And I started in the December, and the January sale started on I think it was the 2nd or the 3rd of January. The January sale started, and I started sitting in people's houses, and I sold a bedroom a day for a year. I made £106,000 in my first year, and that's where I've cut my teeth in doing deals in vendors' houses, because I sat in obviously 300. In fact, no, I sold 365 in that year, but I sat in about 500 houses just in that year alone. So that's where I cut my teeth. I know where people keep their bills. I know why they sign for things that are £2,500, £3,000 on the night. I know, you get to know people doing that, and that's where I cut my teeth back in 1994. And so now I transferred that skill over to doing deals directly in the houses, because it relates to doing the same thing. So because I started making money then, I started buying houses. This first one, I'll see if I can use my pointers here. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Let's do a highlight. I bought this one here. That was my first one. I did this one up. I bought it as a dump and thought, I'll be a property developer. I'll make loads of money doing these houses up. And this is a modern picture. It didn't look like that when I got it. But this one was a bit of a dump. It was owned by Goths, and it was, all the rooms were painted in blood red, which is a bit odd. And I finished that one in 12 weeks. I lived in it as I did it, and I didn't manage to sell it, even though the market was quite good. But I did manage to swap it for these two, which was a 2-bed townhouse and a 3-bed detached. So I lived in the 3-bed detached. I rented out the 2-bed terrace or townhouse. Now, wherever you are on your journey, it's really, really odd, because the cogs don't fit into place at the same time. It's hard to describe this, but you don't suddenly get all of the knowledge. You get certain cogs that drop into place at different points in your life. So the first house I bought to do it up, I thought I'd be a developer, and I'm quite good with the tools. So I plastered walls and put bathroom in, and I put a kitchen in, and moved all the radiators and took down walls and redecorated and stuff. And I did that all myself. And I thought I'd make money, but I didn't make any money. I just managed to swap. And I bought these two. I didn't even get a B&B on these two. In fact, actually, I bought them at full market, not full market value, actually full developer list price. But the first cog dropped into place because this one, I rented out to football at the Darlington Football Club. These were in the northeast, by the way. I rented that one out to him, and that cash flowed. Now, it didn't cash flow a lot, but it cash flowed. And I thought, wait a minute, if I get a few of these and they cash flow, I can start earning. I know it's called passive income now. I didn't know it at the time, but I thought, wait, I can start earning money here. That's fantastic. So the next one I got was this one here. This is a 3-bed semi, and this was about 5 streets away from the other two, and that was a buddy of mine who'd been made redundant, and we had all the bills out on the kitchen table and all the. The kind of crying and bawling and stuff, and he'd been made redundant. He was losing the house and stuff. And I came up with a deal that would suit him, and I would make on it, and it would suit the mortgage company. It was just fantastic at the time, and it was actually a Saab deal. You can't do them anymore because they're illegal, but or you've got to be licensed to do them. So please don't do these now. But what I did was I took the house off him and then let him rent it back, and he lived with me as a tenant for 6 years. So it was a fantastic deal for both of us. I mean, he's still a buddy today, and a fantastic deal for both of us, So, so that was a good one, and that one was cash flowing as well. Then I came across this one. This was actually from an estate agent. This was a 6-bedroom townhouse. This was my first HMO. This was at the back end of 1994. There's 4 bedrooms on that first floor there, and then there's 2 bedrooms in the attic. And this was it doesn't look that big in the picture, but this is a massive house. It took about 30 seconds to walk from the back to the front, so it was so long. And the maximum I had in there was 8 tenants. Again, I did the house up as I went along. Every time a tenant moved out, and those of you that might have some HMO properties will know that HMO tenants are quite transient. They kind of move in and out quite a lot. And every time I lost a tenant, I'd move into the room and decorate it and put carpets and curtains and a new bed if it was an older bed in there. And I went around the whole house. The last room to do was the bathroom, and with the bathroom, what I did was I put a note under all the tenants' doors, and I said, look, I'm going to renew the bathroom this weekend if that's all right. If you want to move out for the weekend because it'll be a bit messy, then feel free. But if you'd like to give me a hand, I'd be really grateful. And I think I had 7 tenants at that point. All of the tenants helped me that weekend change the bathroom. So we did the suite, the shower cubicle, the toilet, the sink and stuff, and lino and tiles at the walls and stuff, and we did it all between us in a weekend, which was fantastic. So that house I did up. That was my first HMO. It wasn't called a HMO back then because it was just 1994, but that was my first HMO. And at this point, another cog starting to fit into place, or starting to get a little bit more knowledge now. I wasn't spending quite so much on the refurb because the tenants were a lower demographic tenant, so I didn't kind of spend all the money on the refurb. It was incredibly cheap to do the refurb, and that cash flowed by £700 and a few pennies per month while I lived in it as well, moving around the room. So another cog slipped into place there, which was part of my education. So then we moved to the Midlands. So I was still working full time in corporate life at this point, and I bought this one. This is it's actually a detached house. It doesn't look detached on the picture, but it's a detached 4-bed, and I put a family in because I thought I'd go a little bit up market because HMO tenants aren't the lower demographic tenants. So I thought we'll go for a nicer tenant. We went for a family. I started buying a few of these down in the Midlands in Nuneaton in Warwickshire, and these are great, but they don't cash flow quite so much. And again, I haven't got a strategy here. I haven't got a plan or anything. I'm just buying houses that I come across through estate agents, and in fact, but then I came across the direct-to-vendor stuff, leafleting and advertising, and I started doing it and came across a wonderful area of Coventry, which I marketed quite heavily to, and I use a similar system I'm going to show you tonight with the leaflets. We started our first actual real strategy, and that was 2 and 3-bed terraces, and renting those out to single-let families. And we started buying pile loads of these and trading them out, and doing trades and swapping them and stuff, and keeping some and trading some out. And I'll show you exactly how I've done this, how I get the leads tonight in the video. So that's kind of a bit about my history and how I've got there. So here we go. Oh, my slide thing's not. I can't change slides now. What's wrong with that?
I think you have to clear the highlighter off first.
Right, I'll clear the highlighter. Oh, stuck. Right, let's. Right, erase all drawings. Let's see if it'll flick now. No. Won't let me go down now.
Just deselect the highlighter, do you?
How do you do that? How do you deselect the highlight? Oh, not non-drawing mode. Right, here we go. Oh, next slide. There we go. Right, so the content. Let's get in the main content. The content of the webinar is how to maximise your returns using flyers or leaflets. So the idea is we've got to find motivated sellers. And first of all, which leaflet do we use? Because there's tons of leaflets out there, and these have all been used by guys that have done it in the past.
What's your thoughts this year? I mean, obviously, motivated sellers. I hate that word, but I mean, this year it's probably going to be quite a unique year this year, Mark, because there's a lot of people that probably in the last 2 or 3 years, maybe as soon as a credit crunch hit, just haven't bothered to look to sell their house, have they? Because they just thought it's just not worth it. So, your thoughts that there's just going to be so many people coming back to the market think, well, actually, we think we can sell it now.
There's there is it's funny because the back end of 2008, beginning of 2009, what we all did, you know, when the banks and the audience might remember this, or some of the audience will remember when there was the credit crunch happened, and the banks reduced the lending from 85% to 75% LTV, and what happened is all the sources on the ground that were operating at that time, they had to learn how to haggle harder. It was a period of about 3 months there where we thought we haven't got a business anymore. This has just killed our business because we weren't haggling hard enough. We were trying to do nice, friendly win-win deals and stuff, and we just weren't haggling hard enough. And we had to really get down to it now, and that lasted from 2009 up until about just last month or the month before, because now the market's kind of changing, and those hagglers that didn't do it before the crash, that have learned in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, they'll disappear from the marketplace because they haven't got the skills to work with vendors in a win-win scenario. Win-win's an odd type of, I know it's an odd type of phrase, but if you just haggle and go straight to a number with the vendor, then you don't get a deal. And so the hagglers that kind of learnt in 2008 to about mid 2012, those guys. Mid 2013, those guys will disappear from the market because they just haven't got the skills to do the deals right. The motivated sellers will still be around; they're always there. They don't disappear anywhere, or leave the market or anything. They still get into financial trouble, and they still want to move house from. Divorces still happen, migration still happens from job moves and promotions and stuff. But the motivation is different. In a rising market, there are less that are financial cases. And there's more. I mean, the same amount of probate. There's the same amount of refurb properties out there. There's the same amount of migration cases and arrears, and downsizing cases, and the same amount of divorces. It's just that haggly one, the one where they get into financial trouble. They're slightly less, and so it's as I say, the hard hagglers will get out of the market. They'll leave just because they haven't got the skills to deal with the vendor properly.
But also what you'll tend to find is that obviously the agents as well are desperate for properties, aren't they? And one of the tactics that agents use is flyers themselves, isn't it, to get properties?
Oh, they do,
So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no commission rates and or low commission or 0.5% commissions and stuff, and yeah, they'll do flyers as well. So anyone that thinks that flyers don't work, well, all the agents will start using them, and you'll see them out there. In fact, we have one through our door the other day actually, from an agent, which sometimes you don't see in a crash.
Yeah, it can be interesting. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, so this part of the webinar, what I'm going to go through is which type of leaflet to use, because it can be confusing because there's lots out there, and what I'm going to do is show you how to do how you guys can do the best leaflet in the world ever, and you can send it to a designer if you want to and pretty it up. But if I show you the template to making a great leaflet, then you can decide which one suits you and which one works. And of course, I can send you over a load of sample ones that we use anyway, so you can have them all. So let's crack on. The first one is there's two kind of routes to go here. There's ugly marketing and there's regular marketing. And the first one, this one on the left, is what's called an ugly leaflet. And I hope no one's confused by the colour, because in this industry, in the fast sale industry, traditionally we use yellow on black, or sorry, black on yellow. It doesn't matter what colour it is. The colour is actually irrelevant. It's just because it's a bright colour. Just traditionally we've used black on yellow, and that's come from a chap called Rick Otten, who uses black on yellow, and he has done since about 2002 in this country. So he's an Australian chap who teaches lease options, and that's where the actual colours come from. But it could be pink. It doesn't really make any difference. So the difference between an ugly leaflet and a regular leaflet is that an ugly one is handwritten. It uses the same principles, and we'll go through the principles in a second. As regular marketing, it just looks ugly, and it's weird because the one on the left is an ugly one, and the one on the right is a regular leaflet. They follow the same principles, but some people will spend a fortune on leaflets and they'll not get a call. And this is one of the reasons. This is one of the trip-ups. This leaflet here, this ugly one. Oh, I can't use my pointer now. This is a bit weird, isn't it? Right, I'll use my pointer. This one here, this ugly one. This works in fact, I could ask the audience a question. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but would that suit a BMV area, or would that suit a middle-class area full of semi-detached houses, full of caravans on the drive, grass lawns in the front, middle managers? They've got the 3 Series Beamers. The dad drives the Beamer, and he's got a laptop and he's got a mobile, and it's a company one, and he's a middle manager type. Would that one give a better response, or this one? And have a think to yourselves which one would work better in which area. That's the kind of Middle England kind of area. And another type of area would be where White Van Man lives, or, not the plumbers, because they're sometimes quite wealthy, but the terraced houses, and they've got the older cars, and they might have bought them from the car supermarkets and paid a fortune on finance for them. They've got slightly older cars, they've got thinner streets, they've got no front gardens, there's Victorian terraces out on the street, that type of.
Got a few answers coming in. It's basically the left-hand one is your ex-council areas, BMV areas, your sort of ugly marketing.
See, that's what I get from audiences as well. Even when I'm doing a talk, and it's actually backwards. It's actually the reverse, and it's weird because this one here, it gives you a better response in the upmarket areas. And the reason is, that this is the psychology behind it, is that if I put out that particular leaflet into a reasonably upmarket area, it gives the impression that I'm not that bright. And the guys in the slightly more upmarket areas, and I don't mean wealthy, no swimming pools or anything, but the middle manager type areas, this area, this one here, means if I'm not that bright, I can't rip them off, and they might be able to do a deal with me that suits them. They're a little bit more savvy than I am, so you get a better response rate in Middle England. And on this one here, this regular leaflet here, this works in BMV areas and the poorer areas, because the guys in the less smart, less well educated, let's say, they like the comfort of the corporate structure. They like to think they're dealing with a company, think they're dealing with someone professional, and that gets a better response rate. I hope that makes sense for everyone. I know it sounds a little bit backwards, but I hope it makes sense.
It's really interesting.
We run 2 types of patch. Yeah, and it seems backwards, doesn't it? I mean, even now when I'm saying I've done this for years, and even now it still seems backwards when I say it out loud. But in reality, this one gets you a response in lower demographic areas. That one gets you a better response in Middle England, or slightly more savvy areas. And if you spend a few £1,000s or a few £100 on leaflets and dump them all in the wrong place, that's one of the reasons, or one of the trip-ups, you can get no calls, because we've just used the wrong leaflet in the wrong type of patch or the wrong type of area. So hopefully tonight we've just going to save you a few £100 if you were thinking about doing leafleting out there, and we'll think a little bit more about what type of leaflet we'll put in what type of area. So let's go ahead and design a leaflet. If my slide thing works, it doesn't. I'll have to switch the highlighter off again. what I'd like to do is look at this picture. Just take a couple of seconds and look at this picture, and then just type in the box where's the first bit of the photograph that your eyes were drawn to. Just a couple of seconds. I've got some answers there, John.
A sun. Something that we don't see at the moment, but it's still around, I'm sure. Someone saying top middle. Most people sun. Yeah, I would think it's 90% the sun. Tree on the left.
Brilliant. So, and that's kind of typically how we look at things. Brilliant. Thank goodness. So, what we do typically, this is an actual photograph of a sunrise that I took in Zambia. We volunteer in Zambia and do some work with a school over there. And I took this picture at 6:30 in the morning, rushing back to the airport for a plane. And when I show this picture out there, artists and photographers have used this type of technique for years. It's called vignetting. And what they do is, the reason we look at the middle of the picture first is because it's just a blob on this particular picture, but actually it's the brightest part of a picture, and that's called the vignetting effect. And that's why TV screens have got black surrounds and the picture's in the middle. That's why pictures are framed, so it draws your eye to the bit the photographer wants you to look at, or the artist wants you to look at. So that's why most of us would look at the sun first, and some of us would say, "Oh, went top left." And the reason for that is because we're Western European and we read from left to right, and the first place in the page that we'd look at is top left, and there's an interesting bit there. There's a tree there to look at. So most of us, I hope everyone would agree here, would look at the sun first and then go top left and see what's interesting over there. And that's a kind of, if our leaflet's set out like this, with a bright bit in the middle, and then our tagline or our catchphrase or attention grabber top left, that's our ideal leaflet. So the border is, again, it's to protect our message from the outside world, whether it's in a newspaper or on a leaflet or on a side of a van, or a message on a building or anything. This principle has been used for centuries and centuries. So bright bit in the middle, or to catch your eye and to keep you in the frame, and then top left is where we start our attention grabber. So that kind of works. And the next slide won't come up again. What's wrong with this thing? Let's click next. There we go. And then what we're going to do is follow. Some of you have heard of this model before, the AIDA model, which is attention, interest, desire, and action. So our leaflet is going to be set out. Our attention grabber is at the top in big, bold letters, and I'll show you a few examples in a second. So attention grabber is as big as you can, because that's to grab their attention and get them reading your message. Then we'll have a few points of interest, and these can be in smaller type. Then we're going to build a bit of desire into your product or into your message. Words like free work quite well because the whole of the internet's grown up on the word free. And then right at the bottom is the call to action. And the call to action is of the same font or the same size as the attention grabber at the top. So the best advert in the world would be attention grabber and call to action is the same size font, and then interest and desire as partners or points in the middle. It's like smaller type. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think it made sense.
Yeah, completely.
So, here's our template. This is not the finished leaflet. Yeah. So this is not the finished leaflet. It's just a template at the moment. So we've got if you remember back to the vignette in the middle, we've got the bright part of the advert in the middle that keeps us in the middle, or draws our attention in there, and then our attention grab at the top, offering your property in 48 hours. So it says exactly what it does on the tin. We'll make an offer on your property in 48 hours, grabs their attention, fantastic, and then we'll start to build interest and desire. So purchase agreed within 48 hours, completions on dates to suit. Those are the guys that, if you see adverts out there that say things like, we'll buy your house in 7 days, that's not quite true. So that can lead you to complaints. So I personally wouldn't put that. But you can certainly agree to purchase a property. You just can't give them the cash in 7 days. So I wouldn't bother, because on the odd occasion you could, but most of them you can't. I put completions on a date to suit because no one ever says, I need to move out tomorrow, can you give us the money? They just don't do that. So completions on a date to suit them. Clear dates, make a fresh start, which could be fantastic. Build a bit of a desire in there with a free valuation, free legals, free advice, and any circumstances or all circumstances considered. And then lastly, our call to action. And we've only got one call to action. I'd recommend this wholeheartedly, is please only put one call to action on any advert or message or leaflet out there, because the reason for this is this particular number, this is an 01604 number, that's a Northampton number, because this is a Northampton template. Everyone in Northampton knows 01604 is a Northampton code, and this is a gold number, 5060, and whatever the last two are, that's a gold number or a platinum number. That's easy to remember. So if the leaflet's been binned, all we've got to remember is that 5060, I think it was the 60, that one, 506060 is the number to call to sell the house. So they don't have to remember that 01604 number, they just have to remember that last bit. And it's only one call to action. What will happen, and this is another triple, this is kind of top tip number 2, I suppose, is that if you put, which quite a lot of people do, they put their web address on there, and they put their email address on there, and they put the mobile on there, and they put the landline on there, and it's not the confusion thing, that's not quite why it doesn't work. What happens is, if you're leafleting out there on the ground, and you're working a patch, and you've got 4 calls to action on your advert, what can happen is, let's say at the moment when the prospect sees our leaflet, they're now at what's called an offline lead. And what happens if they see a web address or an email address on a leaflet, instead of giving you a call, because phone calls are quite scary, what they might do is go to Google and look up your website on Google, but they don't search in the address bar. They just look on Google, and you can try it for yourselves, tonight, and by all means drop me an email and say how you got on. But whatever your company name is, I can guarantee. I did this the other day. It was I think we typed in "Sell House Fast" in front of an audience. We typed in "Sell House Fast" Northampton or whatever it was. Over 1 million hits came back, and the chances of the prospect finding your website and going to you and just phoning you and just completing your, emailing you are so slim, it's ridiculous, because you're now competing with the online world, and the online world is quite competitive. There's guys out there that are spending between £4,000 and £10,000 a month with Google to get their adverts to the top of the tree on page 1 and all that sort of stuff. You've now, what you've done is you've lost your offline lead to the online world, and they'll never come back. And so what I do is I'm doing offline advertising, and I just want them to call me. That's all I want them to do. There's no email addresses, there's no website addresses, nothing on the leaflet apart from a phone call to come back to me. So that's how I keep my offline leads offline, and they can't go anywhere. And I call myself, on a patch I call myself, you can just see it there. I'll just try and point to that out there with my little highlighter. You can see I call myself ABC Properties in an area, and ABC Properties doesn't have a website, it doesn't have a web presence, it doesn't it's got no online identity whatsoever, and that's done on purpose because this is an offline lead, and I'm just a local guy in the area doing property deals, and you'll see that there's no other company name and there's no big logo or anything. You don't really need a big logo. So so this is a template. Now a template can then be sent to a designer to make it look pretty, and you get designers all over the place that will design your leaflets for you. There's 2 minds whether you put more pictures on, like pictures of money or pictures of a pretty girl with a headphone on answering the phone as if it's your your office and stuff. I'm neither for or against them. Sometimes I've used them, sometimes I haven't. But this is the basic template of a leaflet that's done. Now I've got to switch my highlighter off again. This is weird. Using this normally works without the highlighter, but never mind. There we go. So once I've got a template and we've sent it to the designer, we can start to make other templates to split test, and we can change things on the leaflet. So this one actually says "Want to sell your house quickly," and what we do is we're changing the headline, just one thing on the advert. So we're changing the headline just to see which one works better. They keep the same design, if you like, or same template leaflet, but we change one thing and we test while we're out there which one responds better. And let's say we started with this one, we put out 25,000, 30,000 leaflets with this one, and we got X number of responses. And whatever you do on the forums, please, the forums are great, don't get me wrong, but please ignore advice on forums. It's because in leafleting, it's your numbers. They're the only numbers that count. So you measure yourself. And if this was 25,000 leaflets and I got 12 calls from that, 12 leads, then that's my measurement. And no online forum can tell me otherwise, because typically if you put a response rate on leaflets on a forum, you will get back that famous answer, which is 0.01% response rate from direct marketing, which is, I think it's made up from somewhere in the ether. I don't know where it comes from. But if you do the leafleting right, you can get a miles higher response rate than that. So, but the numbers in your area, they're the ones that count. So this one's the first one. Let's say we've got 12 calls from 25,000 leaflets, fantastic. And then when we put this one out, we've got 18 calls from 25,000. So now that one is now the leaflet I'm using. So I'll continue to use that one for a little while, and I might change it again to see if I can get a better response rate out of another one. So I might change it again to "Are you tired of paying your mortgage?" Again, the template is the same, but just the message is changed, and then I'll split test that one. So I'm now split testing with these two to see which one gives me the best response rate out of these two. So all I've done is change one thing on the advert just to test and see which one gives me the best response rate. Again, we're changing one thing at a time, and this can be, if you if you know a local printer, and I always use local printers on the ground, and normally backstreet places are two old guys with a pasting table and a Stanley knife normally, and they're the guys which will give me the best deal and the best turnaround rate, and they can change it on a sixpence. They can change the leaflets for me. I just need a quick call or a pop in, say, can you do as these, can you do as that, what do you think of this, can you do as that, and they'll do it really, really quickly. So that's how I do my split testing. So,
couple of questions, Mark.
A
couple of questions. Probably the simple one. You've got some abstract characters in the top right-hand corner of your flyers. Is there any reason for that? You had an M, you got an F, and now I can see a J.
Yes.
Is that is that a deliberate ploy?
It is. Yes, that's a good question. I must admit, I can't see it because my
your screen
my screen thing's in the way. So yeah, good question. Yes, I'll explain that one. That's on an area. The codes are, and there's 26 codes obviously because there's 26 letters. I can detect which leaflet to put them out because they've got all the different codes on depending on the area, and I can pay my leaflet as a bonus. So what I do is my guys on the ground, they get £250 bonus if I get a deal in their patch from one of their leaflets, and if they're allocated a code, then it would come back as their code that the leaflet was the deal was sourced from. So that's the reason. And there's obviously 26 different codes I can use on the leaflets to make it. Now, some people might say, well, you could ask the customer, or I could change the colour of the leaflet per area, but the codes can go on different colour leaflets or the same colour leaflet across the patch, as long as the individual leaflet has got the different their own code on there. Yeah, great question. Yeah, fantastic. I forgot about that one because I can't see it.
Yeah, it was well spotted by Tanya. And another question is from Nahar, is really, if you had this hypothetical 12 inquiries from however many flyers you put out there, and again, I suppose, there's no such thing as a silly question. There's no such thing as a silly question. It's going to come down to statistics, perhaps. But your take on it is, what do you think the closing rate of 12 inquiries would be in your experience?
It's a great question, that one, because I'm asked it quite a lot, and some people ask what's the typical response back from leaflets, and I've got loads of different strategies apart from leaflets I use. This is just one on an area, and then out of 12, what they'll do, they go into what's called the funnel, or the deal funnel, or the sales funnel, or whatever you like to call it. They all go in the top, and we keep in touch with them for a while, and we qualify them as they're going down the funnel. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Imagine a funnel and you're pouring water into the top of it.
Yeah.
Some of them will drop out of the bottom, some will get stuck in the funnel, but some come out the bottom. And what we do is we keep in touch with them, and we follow up and follow up and follow up until we can do a deal to suit. Now, some of them aren't motivated enough to sell, and I was with one yesterday. This particular lady, she was I didn't go to see her, but she, anyway, doesn't matter the background. She'd put a property in auction, couldn't sell it. I think the outstanding was 142, and she had it on the market for 175, so that's about the market value. now she thinks she's had it on the market for about 6 months. She's redecorated to sell it in an auction, and it didn't sell. Now, at the moment, I don't know why it didn't sell, but there's some sort of problem there. But they've stopped paying the mortgage. Now, they had a 2-month mortgage holiday, but they're not quite motivated enough because now they're going to have to start paying the mortgage because they've come to the mortgage holiday was November and December, so they've got to pay this one, so the pain starts again. So as soon as that pain starts again, they become more motivated. That's why we keep in touch. So out of the 12, to answer, was it Nihar? Was it Nihar's question? To answer Nihar's question,
yeah,
they all become deals at some point. It's just the type of deal that you do with the thing. It might not be a BMW, it might not be a lease option. It might, there's different types of deal we do, but they'll all become deals at some point. They might not become one straight away that day, but they'll all become deals at some point. If you can do the right.
If you keep following them up.
Toolbox to do the deal.
The key is follow up.
Yeah, if you keep following up. Oh, absolutely. We use a system for follow up. There you go. System for follow up to make sure we keep in touch. So that one's the next split tested one. You need to sell your home fast. Have you got debt worries? Because sometimes we're after what's called arrears cases where they're in financial trouble. So we'll go for the debt one to split test to see if that works as well. My thing's not working again. Darn. Next slide. There we go. And then the standard one. This is my kind of favourite one. They need to sell your home fast. This seems to work in virtually any market in pretty much any area. Need to sell your home fast. It's just one that works all the time. So we've used it for years now. I think we started using this from about 2004, 2005 or something. It always works. So it's one of my favourites, and there's tons of people copy this all the time. You're quite welcome to, I'm not precious about it. You're quite welcome to copy it and stuff as well. So that works. So that's another split test. This is top tip number 3 is this lovely word repossession. We've only learnt this very recently. In fact, it was probably the start of last year, that if you put the word repossession on the headline of your leaflet, your response rate will be halved, and that's an optimistic half. And the reason for that is because it takes around 9 months for a bank to start to go through the repossession process. The first missed payment is a nice letter. The second missed payment is a nice letter. The third one's a great, a slightly harsher letter. Than the fourth one is give us a call because you're in arrears, and adding the stuff to your mortgage and charging it per month, and then the letters start to get a bit harsher and harsher until about month 7 or 8 where you're in court. And most people between months 1 and 6 don't actually realise they're in a repossession process, and so their head's in the sand. They're not quite there. If they see this leaflet with the word repossession on it, they'll bin it straight away and they won't call you because they don't know they're in it. They don't know they're in the process. And so if you put the word repossession too higher up, and you might be after repossession leads, but please don't use the word repossession on your leaflets or your marketing, because, as I say, it'll half your response rate. And if you've got the tools in the toolbag to do the deals, you don't need to just have repossession leads. You can use any types of lead. But you'll get less response rate if you use it. And I must admit, we were using them because that's one of our templates up until early last year. So we learned that quite recently as well. So top tip number 3. So let's have a look at a few examples. Here's one which kind of follows the model. We've got, and these are pretty reasonable examples. We've got the vignetting effect. We've got the dark on the outside. We've got the nice bright in the middle. It's got a picture on, which is kind of neither here nor there about pictures. It's got the interest and desire, and it's got the call to action at the bottom. There's a little fault with this one. It's got a website on there. I wouldn't put that on there, but that's you can change that if that's your template. So that's not a bad one. And this one, we've actually used this particular leaflet ourselves. It's got the vignetting, it's got the bright bit in the middle, interest and desire on there, and then the call to action at the bottom. And again, it's got the website on there. I wouldn't put that on there, but apart from that, it's a reasonable job. This one, it's got the vignetting, which is fine. It's got the word repossession, but it's lower down in small type, which is okay. Now, in fact, I'll draw this on there with my little highlighter, because that's actually right. This bit here is the call to action, and that should be down here. Hope that makes sense to everybody. So there's a little bit of a fault on there. It could be they've done it a little bit backwards, but apart from that, it's not too bad. If the number was at the bottom, then that would work okay. Got There we go. Next one, again, we've used this one as well, and quite a few clients have used this one. It doesn't use a vignetting because it's on a plain white leaflet, but it's got a headline out there, fantastic. There's our headline, it's got our interest and desire along here, and it's got a call to action at the bottom. We'll just cross that website out, we don't need that. We don't particularly need this logo either, we're not too interested in that. But apart from that, that's not a bad leaflet either. And then most of you will spot this, but this is actually a split test of that one up there. So it's actually pretty much the same leaflet. They've just changed the colour, and they've changed the headline on this one. So this is actually called a split test leaflet. Usually put out in the same area, but on a different week or a few weeks later, just a split test of response rates. That's not a bad one either. And again, we've used that one as well, so it's a pretty good one. Oh, my highlighter's gone all bonkers on me. Raise all rounds. So let's look at a few bonkers ones. If it'll let me. There we go. This one, a bit wishy-washy. The vignetting effect hasn't worked because your eye can wander all over the page, so it doesn't quite work there. And problem, the attention grabber doesn't get you because what's that problem? It could be anything. So that's not a very good one. That could do with some improvement. This one again, no interest and desire on it, so we've got a bit missing in the middle here. We should have some interest and desire in here, and then that would work. But it needs some improvement there. This one again, it's got it all on there, but so it's wishy-washy and it's a bit nasty. For once, it's a bit nasty. So that's not a particularly good one. And then someone in the audience will ask you the question: Can anyone spot the schoolboy error on this one? I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer that one. And this one's a real leaflet. Is someone going to get it?
No one's got it yet. Well, no one's popped anything yet. Cash 24 hours. Buy cash in 24 hours. Phone number. No contact number. No contact info. Yeah. Call to action. Too much info. Yeah, I think
there's loads of info.
Too busy.
It was. Oh, you're all right. All absolutely right. They're all false. But I was actually at, I think it was Warwickshire Property Mate. I can't remember which one. I think it was Warwickshire. And I was doing a talk, and this is a real leaflet, and they sent it over to a designer to get designed. And they tried to make it look like a web page. And it does, obviously, it looks like a web page, but they hadn't put a phone number on there on the bottom, so there's no call to action on the leaflet at all. And the guy in the audience had said it was his leaflet. I'd use it as a kind of example, as a bad one. And the guy right in the front row of the audience as well said he's done that, it's his leaflet, and got them produced and sent them out before he even noticed himself as well. So so watch that schoolboy error. Yeah. The designers aren't always, check your stuff when it comes back before you send them out. So well done for everyone.
It's always good to give it to a couple of other people, isn't it, before you go and get it printed, just to spot, because sometimes you can't see the same thing if you look at it time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. So well done. And we buy a house for any cash in 24 hours. Yes, of course that is the fault as well, and it is incredibly busy. So you're all right, all absolutely right. So yeah, it's a good one on that one. And again, ugly leaflets as well. I'll just get rid of my highlighter there. Highlighter's gone. Ugly leaflets actually follow the same model. So we've got an attention grabber, we've got interest and desire there, and then we've got the call to action at the bottom. So the ugly leaflet, although it looks ugly because it's handwritten, it still follows the AIDA model. It still follows that model of advertising across the world. It's used everywhere, so it still does. It still does it, And again, that's another one. Attention grab at the top, interest and desire, and then a call to action at the bottom on that one. And again, call to action. Call to action. Interest and desire in the middle, and then a call to action at the bottom. And even this one, I'm trying to get rid of my little highlighter there. It keeps disappearing on me. Go away. That's it. Call to action, although it's small, we've only got the word hi, that's our call to action, but there's our interest and desire, and there's our call to action at the bottom there. So even ugly leaflets, they follow the same model. So that's the model to remember when you're doing your templates and your leaflets and stuff.
Couple of things, I know there's quite a few questions building up and I'm conscious of time, but just a question more to do with the leaflets before you move on. Would you expect not getting inquiries straight away? Or so effectively, I suppose the question is, do you feel you've got to repeatedly market at certain areas, or potentially can you get people calling you on the first drop of your target area?
Yeah, the general rule, this is a general rule, not a golden rule, is that you've got to touch a client or touch a prospect about 7 times before they'll buy from you. And that works in most industries, not all, but most. So if you think of dropping one set of leaflets once, and that's the first time you've seen it, that's the first time you've touched them. If they see a newspaper ad as well, that could be the second time. If they see bandit boards out there, that's the third time. And if they see other bits of marketing that you're doing on the patch, and there's about a dozen, or there's at least a dozen different ways you can market an area, some are completely free, that you can, if you touch them 7 times, then they'll respond. So the first time, it's more about consistency than it is about quantity. So we know a guy, this is a bit naughty, but we know a guy in a town near us who had started dumping what I call carpet bombing. We'd started dumping 20,000, 30,000 leaflets on a patch, in one go, and he spent quite a bit of money doing this, obviously, because it's not cheap to do that. And I started watching him, and I watched him for about 7 or 8 weeks, and I thought he's going to run out of money here because he can't be getting the responses out of these leaflets straight away. And about week 9, he stopped. And then after week 9, I thought, I'll just put a few leaflets out in the area because he stopped. And I started to pick up loads of leads. And my leaflet wasn't particularly the same or anything, but it was just a leaflet out there offering the same sort of service. And the reason is because he had advertised a service, and because I wasn't branded or anything, I just continued the advertising. So it's about consistency, and I picked up loads of leads, loads of leads and deals off that particular off that drop, and I'd spent a few £100 on mine, and we got loads. So it's about consistency as opposed to quantity. Does that answer your question? I hope it does. Yeah.
Hopefully, it's a question for Ronnie, so hopefully that's answered it. But if not, drop it in the box, Ronnie, and we'll expand on it.
Yeah. Any more? Shall I carry on?
We've still got a bit to get through, and we'll save a few more questions to the end as well.
Okay, cool. Beware little advert break. What I've done is I've put a load of stop me little highlighter thing. Erase all drawings and stop me highlighter. How can I get rid of my highlighter? There we go. What I've done is I've put all these tactics on a scenario workbook taken from real life scenarios, and on a dongle, including all the contracts, and on MP3. You don't get the MP3 player, but all of them, and a complete home study manual, which is around 120 odd pages of manual of how to do all this stuff, and all on CD as well for the audio. It's about 7 hours of recorded stuff on there on CD, and it's available as a product for $7.81. And just if you want to grab one of them, just see John after the webinar. So advert break over. So what we do is we set on our campaigns. We set up a 4-week plan to a deal, generally speaking. And I won't go through this whole slide because it'll take us all night to do this. But in week 1, we set a plan up and put the post-it notes on the fridge and get our plan sorted out for stuff to do in week 1, because we aim to get to a deal or get to a lead in week 4. And because the idea is the quicker you get to putting leads on the table and putting deals out there, the quicker you get cash in the till. And this is about cash in the till, not about buying property. You can buy whichever ones you like because they're your properties, but your leads and deals. But this is about putting cash in the till. So set yourself a 4-week plan to get to a deal. Day 1, set the plan up and do the things in the week. So source some local newspapers, and we do that on a workshop we do. Going through which type of newspapers work and where to advertise in the newspaper and how to get the deals in the newspaper. And I do kind of live calls with classified sections if it's on a Saturday, because I can try to get deals out of newspapers fairly easily, and we'll do it live sometimes to show you. So source a local printer, get them on the side, because if you go to things like Pronto Print with the bright glass-fronted shops and the big red counters and the the guys that you'll know the type of shop I mean, with the nice posh shirts with the name badges on them and stuff. They'll charge an absolute fortune for leaflets. In fact, I was out with a guy on Patch, and he quoted this particular printer quoted as £790 for 5,000 leaflets, and I must have nearly fell off my chair when he quoted that, because you should be paying around £100 for 5,000 leaflets. That's about a month's worth of the leaflets when you first start. So £100, 135 grams for 5,000 leaflets is a ballpark figure. You can get them cheaper if you go thinner, and you can get them dearer if you go thicker, but about 100 quid. Convert some letter templates up and your contracts up and stuff in week 1. And what the weekly plan is to do is to get you to the money, because that's what we're about, is getting to the money. So set yourself a weekly plan in your advertising, and I go through this on a workshop. So you've got a weekly plan to go away with to get you to a deal within 28 days, because that's kind of the whole point. I thought I'd show you a couple of case studies, and the case studies are people learn from case studies because they're the real deals. I mean, they were done by me, so I know they're real life scenarios, and it's easy to put them to talk about all this big money and stuff and what have you. But if I actually show you a case study, I can show one that's actually worked and brought us in some cash. I'll use my highlighter there. This was a deal in Morecambe, and it was split into 3 properties. It was a 2-bed flat on the ground floor, so we've got a 2-bed flat here, we've got a 1-bed flat here, and we've got a 1-bed flat here. So split into 3. The whole property was on the market for 160, and the outstanding mortgage was 148. Now, most people would walk away from this because it's not really a deal. You can't offer any BMV. It's in the northwest. It's on a coastal town. It's not a seaside. It is a seaside town, but it's not a touristy town. Very working class, and the tenants that were living in here were very, the low demographic tenants. It was the winkle picker guys off the Morecambe coast, so the low demographic tenants. Now, the equity in this one was about 12 grand. I agreed a buy price at 160 on this one, so I agreed to buy it at 160, which is what it's actually a tired landlady. This one is what she wanted. She can keep the 12 grand, but I don't want to pay for it for 12 years. There's no money in it for her anyway, because no one would offer 160. She'd probably take an offer of 150, so she'd lose that 12 grand anyway. So there's no money in it for her at this point. And then sold the deal on for 6,995 to another investor that lives up in the area, and cost us £1,500 to put together. That's legal fees and to make sure the contract's right. So the net profit on this one is £5,500. Now, I didn't go to visit the property. I went to see the vendor, the owner, and had a meeting with her. Never went to see it because it's about 4.5 hours for me. Never went to see it, put the deal together. The new investor that buys it can go check it out himself and make sure it's suitable for them. So I call this a win-win-win deal, because the vendor lived in Portsmouth and the property was in Morecambe. It was 5.5 hours. Low demographic tenants, which are more difficult to manage, they take up more time. So the distance, she got out of a property without losing her 12 grand, and she doesn't have to manage this property, which is blooming hours away. The cash flow on the deal, when it's tenanted properly and looked after and managed, is £785 a month. Plus, the investor gets the capital growth from the 160 for the next 12 years. It's a lovely cracking deal. I mean, that could double in value in 12 years, as long as there aren't too many crashes along the way. And the win for me is I had a 2-hour meeting with the vendor and bagged £5,500 in the bank, and that's what I call a win-win-win deal. I've won for the guy that's buying it, won for the guy that's selling it, and we've won for me because we've put some cash in the bank, and the cash in the bank comes straight away. It's not there, straight away. So £5,500 on that one.
Got quite a few questions building up, Mark. I'm just conscious of time. I know we normally run over, but
yeah. If anyone, should we do the questions at the end? Or
yeah, and then we can just file them through, because I think the questions are the most important things, aren't they?
Okay, so if anyone wants to, what I'll do is I'll get through these slides, and then if anyone wants to stay on at the end, I'll answer all the questions. And I don't mind staying on late, so I'm quite happy to. So if you guys want to stay on the webinar, feel free to, and carry on putting your questions in the box as we're going along if you want to, and then the ones that want to stay on afterwards, I'll answer them and spend some time with you, and the ones that want to disappear, then you're welcome to. Okay, I hope that's all right for everybody. Okay, so this is a BMV deal. So shall I keep this or trade this? Well, this one's in Basildon, and the asking price on this one was 220. And so the asking price is 220. It's on the market, but it's a new build property, like, a second-hand property in a new build area. So all the properties around it that are for sale are being sold by the developers. They get free lawns and free kitchens and free white goods and all that sort of thing. So they're having difficulty selling it. I ended up agreeing a buy price on this one at 148, which is a cracking little deal. So I was tempted to keep it, I must confess, because that's brilliant equity in that one. But it's another 2 hours from me, and because I'm up in Northamptonshire, so I've got a golden rule, which is I'm vocal about local, invest in your own area, and learn the types of deals that work in your own area, and go no more than 30 minutes from where you live to do your deals. And I've lived with that rule for years now, and I'm quite vocal about it, obviously. So I do deals in my own area. I couldn't break my rule. I didn't want to break my rule, so I ended up selling it, and I sold it for 157,500, which is still brilliant equity for the new investor that's buying it. It cost us £3,000 to put together, but we nab £9,495 at the bank. Absolutely fabulous little deal, because it took me, I had to drive down to Basildon to see this one. So 2 hour drive down, 2 hour meeting with the vendor, 2 hour drive back, about a day's work, £9,500. Now the vendor's going through a divorce, so they get out of the property. It was quite a hostile divorce. They get out of the property that neither of them could agree on before I got there, so we got them out of the property. The investor gets £50,000 in equity, which is a fantastic deal for them, and I get £9,500 cash at the bank. Cash at bank, so it's a nice little bit of profit. So total, these 2 deals dropped in the same month, and put £14,990 in the bank for me in 1 month, and that's how we do it. It's about cash in the bank, and that's what it gets us. And these are real deals. They're not. I'm trying to erase this blooming. That's the one. That real deals, and anybody can do this. As you know, I started as a blooming tire and exhaust fitter, so anyone can do this stuff. It's just the tools you've got in your toolbox to do it, and the work you're putting on getting the leads to put the profit in the bank. So £14,000. I think everyone would be quite happy with that. So the first step then, after getting them, is qualifying the leads. So we've got, I use scripts and stuff to qualify the leads all the way down the funnel, to get them in, and then decide or not if I'm going to spend time with them and go down and see them. So first step is qualifying the leads in the top of the funnel, and then the next step in the funnel is making appointments to see them. And I must confess, I go to see all my. I don't do them on the phone. I don't do deals on the phone at all. I go to see all my vendors, and I spend time with them and make sure the deal's right. If I can do a win-win-win deal, I'll do one, of course. So it's about time with the vendor, and then I put all the legals together. And if you're right at the start of the journey, all the legals, get all the legals together and use trade lawyers. Please use trade lawyers. If you need a trade lawyer referring to one, then just drop me an email or drop John an email, and we'll refer you to one, or our team that we use. So if you learn all the differences between options and lockouts and heads of terms and NDAs and all that sort of stuff, and get all the legal stuff like the insurance in place and ombudsman membership in place and all your licenses and stuff, you set up your business in your first few weeks, then it'll keep you safe and keep you on the right side of the law during your time as a sourcer. So, would you mind if I showed something that would change your life? I suspect that would be a yes. We've got a one-day training course on called the Leads Workshop, which I'll go through all of our different types of ways and routes to getting leads in a bulling or rising market or a bullish market. Because as I say, that as John said right at the beginning, the estate agents are getting busier and busier, and they start to get this arrogance with them. It's harder to get deals through them. So the route during this type of market is direct to vendor. It's worth spending the time for. We've got a train day on the Saturday the 25th of January. It's in Maidenhead at the Holiday Inn, which we use quite a lot. It's a good old place. It's a full day, and you'll leave knowing all the direct to vendor types of cases. And for that we used what's called a pre-made model. and the pre-made model is probate, refurb, repo, equity, migration, arrears, downsizers, and estrangement, which just means divorce. I just couldn't think of a word that fits with a word to make a mnemonic. But pre-made is all the different types of case, the 8 different types of case you'll find yourself in front of vendors. If you know how to use, how to deal with all of those, you'll know what type of case you're into and how to get them. You'll leave knowing how to beat all your competitors in the deal, because it would be a little bit naive to think that we didn't have competitors on the patch as well, because there will be, especially in this type of market, there'll be competitors out there. We work this out. If you do the work, and I've got guys out there doing it now, 41 grand in traded deals in the bank for you, to 275 in equity if you keep the deals, because you can keep whatever deals you like, every 6 months, working just the system, just the type of system. We've got guys out there now doing it, so it does work. It's genuine. There's nothing hooky or cranky about it. We don't do anything illegal. We only do the kind of real deals that work and that are all done by lawyers and stuff. They're not, there's not any deals that aren't. And of course, I carry all my paperwork and contracts, and I can give you them as part of the day as well. So I actually want you to get out there and do deals, because some deals you might want to trade, but you haven't got anyone to trade them with. So you can actually JV with me, and I'll send them out and sell them for you. So, and that's kind of 50-50 profit. So who's it for? Well, this is for everyone that wants to put cash in the till, because this isn't about building portfolios. It's just about putting cash in the till. So if you're a beginner, that doesn't matter at all. You can still do it. You'll have some transferable skills that you can marry together with doing this. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner. I've had quite a few improvers on my workshop to hone the skills, and I've had lots of experts on there as well, because even if you're kind of a mature property investor and you're doing this anyway, there's nothing wrong with coming along and honing some skills in, and we can never learn less, can we? So it's not a standalone strategy either, because it fits together with anything else that you're doing. So these are transferable skills that you can use, and across businesses as well, not just in property. So in the Leeds workshop, we'll do mortgage possession claims, how to identify the court powers so you can stop them beforehand. We'll do the detail of covering each type of deal, because once you know what type of deal you're in, you can do the deal. Diagnose whether borrowing is covered by the Consumer Credit Act, because once you know that, it's a different route if some's covered, some borrowing is covered and some isn't. Pre-action protocol for mortgage possession claims. Again, that's how to stop a bank getting hold of the property in these types of cases. Unenforceable agreements, I'll go through them so you can recognise borrowing that you can get reduced and get killed. The borrowing, that is, not the person. And of course, regulated borrowing as part of the day. And what we'll do is I'll show you 20 real life scenarios that you can practice with, and I've done the deals, so I know the outcome of them, but you can practice with the deals in a safe environment. So when you go out there on the ground, you're not practicing on potential customers that you can actually do deals with. So it's a safe environment to practice with. And if you go onto YouTube and type in Dominate Your Ground or Leeds Workshop or Vendor Conversion Intensive, you'll come across these guys. There's quite a few videos on there now. Philip Towson actually put, he was on a workshop in May last year, and on his first deal, he put £43,000 in the bank, or in the till. That was on his first deal. He was an 18-year-old guy. His first deal, he bought a Ford Focus, a nice new one, because he didn't have a car at the time. So this stuff is real. It's not just theory. These guys actually do it. He's now a good pal. Some of you might know Rick Walton, host Penn Kent. 2 weeks after his day, he put a 4K fee straight in the bank for doing a deal. So he kind of liked that. That was quite cool, that one. And Harry Singh, some of you guys might know Harry. He works in Hertfordshire. He's actually a dentist that is not a dentist anymore because he didn't make enough money in dentistry. So he's now got into, well, he's been in property quite a while actually. He's quite an experienced investor now. He's done our day as well. He loved it, and he's now a good pal. Some of you might know Julie Hogbin. She's been on my day, and she marketed it out for me as well. Fantastic lady who's become part of the family. And it's not a day about we just do this workshop and you pay for a workshop and then I leave you alone. It's I want to get you through deals to make you money. I want you to succeed, and I can't drive that home enough. You become part of the family. I'm always available on the phone, and people ring me every day with some sort of deal. I've had about 5 calls today because I'm in the office today, so it's about getting you through. So if you get stuck, I'll try and help you get through it to get a deal. So I want you to succeed and be part of the family. So, and there's David's been in property 30 years. He came on the day and knows the value of it as well, even though he's got 30 years experience in property. So some of you guys might know this guy, Juswant, who's been on it, and Tumi, who's been a property investor in Cambridge she's been around for over 20 years doing deals, and she's one of the we used to come across these guys. She had a quick sell franchise back in the 90s and back in the early 2000s, and we used to come across these guys as competitors in the houses, and they were trained well. I mean, it was a good model, and she was one of those guys. She's been around for years. She's been on my day as well. So this is proper stuff. It's there's I think there's 192 people signed up for this webinar. I've only got 12 places for the 25th of January, Saturday, on at the Holiday Inn in Maidenhead. So it can only take a dozen people or so. This is what we'll be doing: building blocks of advertising for leads from free to cheap. All of the 12 strategies in details with examples. So I'll give you the cost basis for each type of strategy from free to cheap, because some strategies are, they are completely free. You can do them for nothing. Nuts and bolts of delivering the right area, and if you bring along a map, we'll sort areas out for you and the management of that area. I'll show you some patch skills that will save you hundreds of hours of work on the ground, because if you do it on the ground, you'll have to make the mistakes yourself, and I'll show you the mistakes I've made to do it, and I'll put some systems in place for you that you can instantly use that don't cost anything, that will save you time and expense. Most of these they're all free, these particular ones. And again, working patch stats, so you can see of each strategy which one, all of the, everything that comes in, all the leads that come in, and all the deals we've got. And I can show you some working patches that that are working now. So it's so it shows you it's real stuff. You can have all the template leaflets that I've got that I use, and all the ones you've seen tonight as well on the workshop. So you can just go in, send them straight to the designers if you want to tweak them and stuff, or you can use them direct from our templates, and I'll put you in touch with the company that makes them for us. And of course, if you bring some newspapers, I'll actually call some competitors on your patch in your area, and I'll do them live in front of the audience, so you can see. It'll give you the confidence to go out there and do this stuff, because you might think you're on your own when you're out there in the patch doing it, but there's actually quite a few of us across the country doing it. But I'll show you after this particular workshop how you can be brilliant and beat your competitors. You'll be quite amazed by that bit. It takes about half an hour, but you'll be quite amazed by that bit. I do it on quite a few courses. So this is all the stuff you get, which has got a realistic value of £543. Lead flow chart, weekly plan to a deal, which we'll work through. Trebly conversion rate template. It's a little tiny business card template to do a deal on a house, and then get you to the cash in the till. Patch stats from working patches, the sourcing manual, which I'll give you as part of the day as well, and I'll give you all the scripts to use in the house to get you through to deals. So all the qualifying scripts, if you remember the top of the funnel stuff, getting them out at the bottom of the funnel to put money in the till. And of course, I'll JV with you to market your deals out to my market, so we'll sell it and both make some money together. So 543, a total realistic value on that, on just the documents and stuff from the day. Course we'll research your patch individually, because that's why we do small classrooms. So if you bring your maps in and stuff, we'll actually research and do your patch stuff, so you can go away from the day knowing where you're working, what type of deals you're working with, and what type of deals you want to do that you feel comfortable with as well. And we'll go into enough details so you can put them together. And of course, I'll help you out along the way as you're doing them. And I'll put your customer relationship management system in place, which is mega cheap. I think it's about $10 a month or something to run it, but it becomes your memory and it becomes your your workspace. But I'll show you how to use that, and I'll go through a demo with that as well. So the 12 places on for Saturday the 25th. That's all we're doing. There's the link if you'd like to book. But I'm going to do a deal for those that would kindly provide a testimonial afterwards. And there's a second caveat for those that would be okay me using your words in public. And there are people like Harry Singh and Phil Towson and stuff. They've done this and got a bit of a deal because I can use their testimonial afterwards. And because the idea is that I'd like as many people out there doing the deals correctly and right on the deals. There is a money-back guarantee, which is by lunchtime, if you're not happy with what you're learning and you're not confident you can do this, just hand your course materials back in and I'll give you money back. And I've had that guaranteed for over 2 years now. It's been in place because I want you to actually get value out of what, out of the workshop and what you're doing, and I want you to make money out of it. So as long as you don't mind providing a testimonial for afterwards, the real estate value on there is 497, and we're going to do a workshop for 249, and there's no VAT on that. It's £249 on Saturday the 25th of July at the Holiday Inn in Maidenhead, plus the money back guarantee. And I'd love to see you. There's the link. I think John's putting the link in there.
Yeah, I put the link in everyone's box, as we've got lots and lots of questions coming through. We've got another webinar with Mark on Sunday as well, with regards to signing people up in their house. So obviously on that page, we will send a link out for those that obviously want to do Sunday night's webinar as well, along with the High Flyers Guide to Leaflet In, so all the freebies that Mark spoke about tonight we can send out. But on the same page there is the option, if you wanted to sort of have the weekend, you've got the 25th and the 26th, so there's details of the other workshop in the drop down box, but the one tonight is the 25th, so it's just it's definitely the right strategy at the moment. I mean, it's just, I think you're going to see loads and loads of estate agents start using this, so you just want to get in ahead of them, really, because you can offer the people so much more, I think, can't we? You've got so many strategies you can offer them, whereas an estate agent's pretty much going to be pretty one-dimensional.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got another bonus actually, just to offer.
Yeah, go on.
Should I do this?
Yeah, go.
I'll do the bonus. Right, 249. That was the day. 249. No VAT on that. Plus, as a download, not as the physical products, but as a download, I'll let you have all that as well. The 781, which is the scenario workbook, the dongle with all the documents and contracts and stuff on it. You can go to my website and have a look at it. It's all on there, and that website, we sell stuff on there every day. You don't get please don't expect the iPod, because you don't get the iPod, but you get all the files off it. It's on MP3, which is 7 hours of the workshop. We recorded one just late last year. It's the whole 7 hours of the recorded workshop. You can have that as well, and the home study manual, which is the transcript from doing deals. So you can have that on there as well. 781. That's on the website for. In fact, it's not even on the website. It's so new. But it's gone on the website, £781 plus VAT. That comes in. You can have that too if you're on the workshop. So I do truly want you to get through deals. So you can have that too. So that's completely free, but as a download, not as you don't get the iPod or anything like that. So that's the deal. Come to the workshop, look forward to seeing you. I'll be honoured to work with you. I truly would be honoured to work with you, because I want you to get deals and I want you to make money, because I want us all to make money and be in the family. So that's the end of my actual presentation. If those of you that have got questions and want them answering about anything we've talked about tonight, feel free to stay on. Anyone that wants to go to the workshop?
Yeah, go on. Carry on, Max.
I was going to say, anyone that wants to go in the workshop, click on the link, book in your workshop. There's only 12 places because I can't really fit any more in the room. And there was 192 booked on the webinar tonight, so quite a few.
Right, I was just going to try and go. Just try and go through some questions in order, really. Is on the one of the questions on one of the deals earlier is how did you know what to charge as a fee?
Good question. Yeah, if you've got a southern property, let's say in the southeast, which the Basildon one was, the fee on that one I think was £6,995, and I must confess that was made up. It was finger in the air. It really was. Now, the general rule is inside the M25, 10 grand. Southeast but outside the M25, 6 to 8, and then Midlands 5 to 7 grand, and then the North 4 grand. That's very, very. I mean, that's so loose. That's the type of fees I work to, and that's just because the amount of responses. If you put a deal out in inside the M25 at 15% discount, say, and it's a sub 200 grand deal, which there aren't that many about of them. If you put it out there, you can charge 10 grand quite happily, and you'll get loads of inquiries for it as well. So yeah, that's kind of
another one is a question is in this changing marketplace, what do you think will compel vendors to do deals with people put in? I suppose, how do you stand out away from the estate agents? Why are people going to come to you, not estate agents, when you're doing the same strategy?
Brilliant question. Yeah, it's the reason is once you recognise the 8 different sorts of circumstances or situations you can find yourself in, the estate agents don't. They just want to sell a house, and they want, in this type of market, they want the best looking house that they can market out and put photos up and retail. Let's face it, estate agents are retailers. In fact, some of you that have been in the estate agents, if you mention the word lease option to an estate agent, he'd fall off his chair because he wouldn't know what you're talking about, and because they're just not educated like that. So they just want to sell retail houses because they're retailers. What we can do is we can do deals that are creative, that suit everybody. So they suit me because I make some money, or you say because you're doing the deal. Suit you because you make some money. Suit the guy you're selling it to because you're selling in either equity or potential growth or cash flow. And you can do a creative deal to suit the vendor, which isn't necessarily a sale. And it doesn't need to be a sale sometimes. It could be a lease option. It could be a delayed completion. It could be another type of creative deal that you can do, which estate agents just don't do. So you can actually offer more. It's not a direct sale, but you can offer more to the vendor than the estate agent can.
Great. I hope these are answering your questions, everyone. When planning your leaflet, is there a way you'd be able to obtain a house list of streets in your target area, including house numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go through that in the workshop because it's a little bit, if I'm honest, it's a little bit fiddly to do. So what I do is we spend about 15-20 minutes on it, going through how to do it. Because I give my leaflet as knock list. I call them knock lists, just from an old corporate job I used to do. But the street lists, or strategy pages, or whatever you like to call them, they get knock lists issued on a morning, and they've got all the street numbers and house numbers on there. But I'll show you how to do it, but it is a little bit fiddly, and you've got to kind of do a little mini presentation on how to do them, because you can do it for free. But if you just approach Royal Mail, they'll charge you for it because they've got the data.
Okay.
But I'll show you to get it free. Yeah, that's on the workshop.
Good. And a question from Tanya is, what CRM system do you use to capture leads and arrange the follow-up calls?
Good question. Yeah, this is actually, again, it's about a 20-minute conversation on it, because I go through. I use 4 in different businesses, and we go from free to expensive. And I've tried. I use, as I say, 4 different ones, and they're all different prices. And if I describe them all, then you can pick from the 4 that most suit you, if that makes sense. I use a really complicated one called Salesforce for some part of my business. Then I use less annoying CRM for the incredibly cheap one. That's the $10 a month one. It's so easy to use, it's silly. But I did go through a little demo in the workshop, because if you know how to do it, I do the demo, you'll see how easy it is to use. It's completely foolproof. No training required, and I use it for external sales staff as well, because it's just so simple. Yeah,
we need to get a couple more dates off you as well. We'll get some further dates out for this day as well for Mark, because I know Tanya can't make that date. How important is the question from Michael? How important is it to meet vendors face to face? Like in the example of your Morecambe deal, could you have closed that remotely?
This is just personally speaking. I know people do deals on the phone. It's not my place to judge them. But I meet every vendor I do a deal with, because if you meet them and you see the whites of their eyes, and you shake the hand, and you meet the kids and you pat the dog, that's the route to keeping a deal in bed. The deals that fall over, and I'm sure people out there have seen deals fall over from time to time, that's the ones that are done normally on the phone. And the reason is you can't see the whites of their eyes, you don't meet the kids and all that sort of stuff, and you don't build any rapport, or you build a lot less rapport on the phone. So I'm a big believer in meeting face to face. That's because the thing you've got to do is you've got to keep a deal in bed for about 12 weeks while it goes through. So the moment someone says yes, I'm buying, it takes around 12 weeks. I mean, sometimes it's quicker, but as a ballpark, it's 12 weeks to keep it through. And this isn't the sale of a telly or something that they're not going to bring back. This is a sale of a house. It's quite an important part of their lives normally. Well, always. So I'd go to meet vendors. You'll get the best business and you'll get the most secure business if you meet them.
Okie doke, I'm just trying to few a few more questions out. Do you want to cover some of these? I mean, they're not really new laws. I think they're sort of laws that are getting focused on more because of the world we live in. It's just a question raised by Andy. Things like, obviously belonging to the property ombudsman. You're effectively an estate agent if you're, I suppose, if you're looking to sell leads on, aren't you? If obviously you're doing marketing to build your portfolio up on, then you're quite happy to set a, to sit away from it. But do you want to expand on that, Mark?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We did this a while ago, and the thing is, if you act like you're regulated, then if regulation does come in, it hasn't yet, but if it does come in, then you'll be one of the ones that's kind of sitting pretty. And as part of the workshop, we go through this as well, because these aren't things that are expensive to do, but they should be done. That's in my opinion, is that you are an estate agent if you're trading deals. You've got to comply with the Estate Agency Act of '79, and you can go and look that up and see what that entails. You should have professional indemnity insurance when you're out there doing deals and trading them on. If you keep them for yourself, which generally people don't keep them all anyway, but if you're working for yourself, you don't need to do this. But trading them on, you need to have PI insurance. You need to be a member of some sort of redress scheme for complaints. I mean, you won't actually get complaints because you're not selling anything. You're actually buying a property or buying a deal. But you need to give the confidence that you've got a redress scheme in place, and the property ombudsman is one of those redress schemes. And then a data protection license, there's not really an excuse for not having one because they're only 35 quid. So it's everyone that's out there collecting personal data, which you are doing, and there's no way around it. I mean, you can't put advertising out there and say, well, I'm not collecting data because you would be doing, if you're out there advertising. So yeah, data protection license 35 quid. Ombudsman membership is about 200 quid. It's not expensive at all. And then I must admit, I can't quote for PI insurance because I paid a fortune for mine, but there are cheaper insurance, PI insurance than I've got out there. So you should have that as well to protect yourself, just in case you end up in court and in a battle with somebody. Yeah,
definitely. You certainly should. There's a document, Andy, that I've produced that sort of covers quite a lot of it in detail. So I'll just read out the next question, and then whilst Mark's answering that, I'll put the link in the box. Next one is, what would you do in London, Mark, when a lot of people have sort of communal front doors?
For apartments and stuff. That's a brilliant question, that, because it's quite often in cities when you're marketing, the newspaper guys, they try and stuff every letterbox through the communal door and stuff. If they've got individual letterboxes, I'd mark it to everybody, because we're delivering leaflets, not anything bulky. Now, part of the training for a leafleter, when you get a guy on the ground, is that you explain to him, look, if the letterbox is full, there's either nobody living there or they're on holiday, so don't put a leaflet through the letterbox if it's one of these box things on communal housing and apartments and stuff. So you can't market to that particular door, but generally that's 1 out of a dozen in a block, or 1 out of 6 in a block has got a full letterbox. But otherwise, it's everyone's got a letterbox, so you can normally get in there.
Sounds good. Just trying to think. Silence, yeah, no, sorry, I was just trying to go through these questions, trying to make sure if anybody else has got any more questions. I'm just conscious we're not anything that we missed, really. Here's another one. Just again, questions still popping in. What attire is best when meeting leads, or does that depend on the demographic?
Oh, good question. Yeah, that's one of my little ticklers, that one. That's I used to drop everything and go and see them as soon as they called, and I did that for quite a number of years. But nowadays, what you find is if you do that is that you end up, the vendor's running your diary for you, and that's a bit bonkers, because you kind of run around your patch like a headless chicken. So what I do now is I have 3 appointment times. The 2 on an evening, 6:20 and 8:20 on a night, and then I do a weekend appointment, which is 11:20 on a Sunday morning, and they're the ones I stick to. So if I'm calling a lead tonight, which obviously I haven't done until I'm doing a webinar, but if I was calling a lead tonight, I'd say, look, I've got an appointment. I'm always in a bit of a rush, so I've got an appointment. I've got a gap in the diary at 6:20 tomorrow night. is it all right to come out and see you then? And you either get a yes or a no. Okay, I've got another one. I've got a gap at 8:20 on Thursday. Would that be all right? And you get a yes or a no, and eventually you'll get one that fits into your diary. You might not get it straight away, but you'll get one that fits in your diary. So what that does, it keeps you in control of your diary rather than your vendors running around like having you run around like headless chickens, dropping everything and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, and the weekend one is just to catch those guys that work shifts, or they can't possibly do evenings because they've got something on every evening, like they've got sewing club on a Monday and photography on a Tuesday and all the club things on a Wednesday. They've got all the stuff and do late night shopping on a Thursday, and on a Friday they don't want to see anybody and stuff. I must admit, I don't do appointments on a Saturday, and I don't do appointments on a Friday either, because you're more likely to get single sits or single leggers on a Friday. That means like one of the partners is out on a Friday. So I just don't do appointments, because even if they say they're going to be in, quite often you get them disappearing out at last minute and stuff if you do an appointment on a Friday. So I do Monday to Thursday, 6:20 to 8:20, and then Sunday morning at 11:20.
Good. Sounds good.
Good question.
Yeah. There's been some good old questions tonight. I think you tend to learn quite a lot from other people's questions, don't you? Always do.
Yeah.
I think that's probably it. I'm just going through. If there's any more that I've missed. Anything else you want to add, Mark? I mean, a big thanks to Mark. I mean, it's so much content. We've just gone through.
Yeah, I would add, if you're on Facebook in the BMV group or on your wall or something, if you've enjoyed the webinar, because I'm a big believer in webinars, because for one, they get us partners and business people to work with, and you get more people in the family, which helps us all really. And as long as we're all doing things legitimate and we're making money, it's brilliant. If you enjoyed the content in the webinar and you think other people should come on the webinar as well, please give us a comment on the BMV group or on the Facebook, just saying it was brilliant or it was nice or great or whatever. If you didn't like it, say something in private.
Yeah, just send it to me, and then I can I'll turn it into a poster and put it out there when Mark's not looking. We'll catch up with him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've just put into the screen there. The presumably most people are in the BMB Facebook group, but there's a document I've uploaded. I have put it on a few other websites, but I can't remember quite quickly where to get it. So I've gone into the BMV group. So there's a property sourcing document that sort of covers property ombudsman, PI cover, trading styles, etc., etc., etc. So certainly worth a read. I know Mark tends to go through it in more detail on the day, but I think, like Mark said, it's if you're doing it and two or three other people that are looking to buy the house aren't, you're just going to more than likely be the person that lands the deal.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if you can certainly pop some positive comments if you've enjoyed it. If you've got, I mean, I certainly always pick up a few gems. Like the earlier point with the ugly marketing. Sort of certainly got that one wrong with regards to which flyers and which way round you would do it. So you're always learning. So as long as you're pushing or doing something new or pushing your boundaries or changing the groups you hang out with, really, you're always going to expand your knowledge base. So big thanks to Mark. He's probably one of the few people I know that's got so many testimonials. He clocks up so many miles around the country, and whenever you hear words about Mark, you always hear good words. So I think his character speaks, and the help he gives people, and he genuinely wants to see people succeed. At the end of the day, he's got a vested interest to a degree. It speaks volumes. So big thanks to Mark. I mean, we've gone way over, but at the end of the day, if we can help and answer as many questions, if Mark can help answering all these questions as much as possible, then that's got to help you push on, really, which is going to be a very, very busy year. And I just think this, like a lot of people looking to flip properties, you've got to get the properties to flip them in the first place, haven't you? So if you can have 2 or 3 strategies that enable you to get the phone ringing off the hook, then it's got to be good news. So I think that's it. Unless there's thanks for all the questions and all the comments coming in. We will get back to a few people that have asked a few other things with regards to additional things. So we'll get an email out to everybody on the line with the actual few templates that Mark's offered, and also a link to Sunday's webinar, which is obviously closing people down in the house. So it's actually dealing with the motivated sellers, but actually how you use the process that Mark's developed to sign them up. So I'm going to let Mark get his cocoa. But thanks very much. Apologies, we've run way over, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of content, and you got it from the person that's probably got as many hours in this subject as I know anyway, that's for sure. So anything else to add, Mark, apart from a big thanks from the Property Investment Academy for you taking time out in your busy schedule?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for everyone for coming out, and well, have a great year, and I'll hopefully see you on the 25th, and we'll do some deals together and make some money. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's not better.
Exactly, yeah. So great. Well, thanks everyone, and like I say, we'll catch up with you soon on the 25th or 26th. Check out the Property Investor Academy website for other dates, and have an awesome year this year. Don't forget to take action. That's the most important thing. Great. Thanks very much. Cheers, Mark.
Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye.